Before I go into my next video, it's something that I want to address because I think it's important. But according to statistics, coronavirus is having a devastating impact on the Black and the Latino community. And I think that it's important that we keep that in mind, the way that our communities are being impacted by this virus. And I also think that with the rush to get the economy back open, that only going to heighten that in our communities. Because when it comes to frontline working in terms of like grocery stores, nurses, fast food restaurants, and things like that, that's is a lot of us that's in those places that's already putting ourselves at risk. And with reopening the economy soon, so that's only going to heighten that risk. So I think that it's important that everybody keep that in mind and continue to do what they have to do to protect themselves and their families. But I'm also kind of wondering, it's that since this virus is impacting our community, more than anywhere else according to statistics, what I'm saying? I'm wondering if maybe this is sort of like making the government, look away from the virus now because they feel like, certain portions of Americans that this virus is impacting. You know what I'm saying? So it's safe to open everything back up because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, the greater impact gonna be on the communities and have people that look like you and I. And we already know that once things like this here impact the Black community, that for some reason that prompt a lot of people in government to start to look the other way or not take things as serious as they normally would. And the perfect example is the crack cocaine era. When crack cocaine impacted the Black communities, that was a criminal problem. But then we ended up having a opioid epidemic throughout America. You know what I'm saying? And that's when it became a medical issue, and that was simply because the people that was impacted didn't look like you and I. And when that happened, that caused them to look at it from a medical perspective. But when crack cocaine and heroin was destroying our communities, it was looked at as a criminal matter. So all I want to say is, man, I just hope that all my people, man, just keep everybody in general. You know what I'm saying? Just keep this in mind to continue to take this thing serious and do what you got to do to protect yourself. Because it's up at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I just think it's all of our responsibility as citizens to do what we got to do to protect ourselves and protect our families. So and I think that as long as we all on the same page and understand, the way that this virus is impacting different communities and understand, exactly what's going on, I think the safer and the better we'll come out at the end of the day. Tonight, I want to address a lot of the confusion concerning this pandemic that we're currently going through. We begin this entire process by shutting down all public gatherings, sporting events, schools, universities, bars, restaurants, and most of those are small businesses. But millions of people across this country is feeling the impact of this pandemic, whether it's economically or a threat to their lives or their loved ones. And as of right now, we had 37,158 people who have died because of COVID-19. So regardless of how you think this was handled from the beginning, we did get to a point to where it was understood that there are certain measures that we could take to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And for the last month, most of us have been quarantined in our homes, only going out for essential needs. Now, I understand there was a lot of things that scientists didn't understand about this virus, and they was trying to figure it out as they go. But we did get to a point to where the information that was being put out there was solid and working to prevent the spread and the curve in number of people getting infected. Now, all of a sudden, we're in a rush to get the economy back open, and there's starting to be a lot of contradictions on whether it's safe or not to allow people to go back to work. Now, we was told from the beginning that if you're asymptomatic, you can still pass the virus on to others. And a few weeks ago, we was told that if you was infected, you should quarantine 2 weeks, regardless if you was asymptomatic or not. Now, the CDC has released a statement that's saying if you're asymptomatic, you can return to work as long as you wear gloves, masks, and stay away from people, which is a total contradiction when it comes to work, depending on what you do. It is absolutely impossible to stay away from people. And even if you did and you were asymptomatic, you would have to be perfect in your activities and watch everything that you do to not contaminate anything that could possibly pass the virus on to others. Now, more importantly, if you haven't been tested and you don't even know if you have it or not, that complicates the process even more, which indicate that it's possible that we're in such a rush to get the economy back open that we're willing to put millions of more people's lives at risk. Which brings me to my next point. At what point do we as citizens, regardless of what our political beliefs is, regardless if we're a Democrat or a Republican, at what point do we realize that this COVID-19 virus, pandemic or whatever, has exposed a lot of things about our political system? And we're at a point right now to where it's almost evident and apparent that getting the economy back open for some of us is more important than the loss of lives of American citizens. You know what I'm saying? And I know that there's a lot of people that believe that this thing is a hoax. I know there's a lot of people that's suffering because of the job loss, and I get that, man, because regardless of what you believe, it's a fact that people are dying because of this.